still remember the first time I saw him. It was a chilly spring morning, and I was in my silk pajamas, sipping orange juice by the kitchen window of our big mansion in Connecticut. He pulled up in this beat-up old truck. His cap was a little crooked, and he had the kind of hands that showed you he worked hard. He dropped off the milk, tipped his hat, and smiled. That smile. I never forgot it. I was the daughter of a business tycoon. My father owned textile factories and hotels. My mother was always dressed for a gala, even at breakfast. Everything looked perfect from the outside, but inside, I was just a well-decorated bird in a golden cage. We had money, but no warmth, no conversations about feelings, no laughter over silly things, just pressure, expectations, and discipline. Jack, he was the opposite of everything I knew. It started innocently. A hello, then a how's your day? And soon, we were talking about life. He told me he read Steinbeck at night after work, that he dreamed of owning his own dairy farm. I was stunned. A milkman who read books and had dreams. He was more interesting than anyone I had ever met in my privileged circle. Those few minutes every morning became the best part of my day. We never said it out loud, not at first. But love. It was blooming. Quietly, patiently, like wildflowers between cracks in concrete. One day, he left me a note under the milk bottle. It said, "You deserve to be loved for who you are, not for what you come from." I cried when I read it. No one had ever said something like that to me, not even my own family. Of course my parents noticed. They weren't blind. They saw me smiling more, coming to breakfast humming tunes, lingering near the driveway when Jack's truck arrived. Then one day, my father exploded. "Are you seriously entertaining the idea of a milkman?" he roared. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. My silence was my confession. He cut my allowance. He threatened to disown me. My mother begged me to stop whatever it was. But by then, it was too late. I loved him. I had two options: obey and stay in a gilded life that made me miserable, or leave everything behind for a man with nothing except an honest heart. I packed a small bag, no jewelry, no cash, just clothes and a letter I left on my pillow. I met Jack at the bus stop. We had no car, no house, no job lined up, but we had each other, and that was enough. We lived in a tiny apartment above a bakery. The rent was cheap because the ceiling leaked. We shared one blanket and counted coins for groceries. Jack worked 3 jobs: dairy deliveries in the morning, grocery store, stock boy in the afternoon, and farm help at night. I took up waitressing, then bookkeeping. We were always tired, but never unhappy. He never once let me feel like I had made a mistake. He would say, "We're building something, Sarah." Brick by brick. And then, little by little, it happened. Jack saved enough to lease his first small dairy farm. He did everything: fed the cows, milked them, cleaned the barns. He worked like a man possessed. 1 year later, he bought that farm. Then, he bought a second. And a third. Fast forward to today, Jack owns over 100 dairy farms across 7 states. He has hundreds of employees, his own distribution company, and yes, his own fleet of delivery trucks. The milkman became a mogul. Years passed before I saw my parents again. They had heard about Jack's success through news articles, friends, and whispers in society circles. My father was skeptical, my mother curious. But when they visited our ranch for the first time, everything changed. They saw the respect Jack commanded, the joy in my eyes, and the legacy we were building. My father shook his hand with tears in his eyes and said, "I misjudged you." And her. That moment healed decades of hurt. People often ask me, "Do you regret leaving your wealthy life behind?" Not for 1 second, because I didn't just marry a milkman. I married a man who built an empire with his bare hands, who never let his past limit his future, and who loved me even when I brought nothing to the table. He gave me a life money could never buy: dignity, respect, love, and purpose. If you're watching this, wondering whether to follow your heart, even when it seems crazy, do it. Love isn't about status. It's about support. It's about believing in someone before the world does. And remember this: sometimes the richest life comes from the poorest beginnings. If love is the foundation,